guys, welcome to another episode of Hope Unfiltered. I am Ren, and over there is
Pastor J. Oh, I'm waiting for my intro, you know.
You know what that sound like?
Oh?
I would say Pastor J. You know what it sound like?
No, but I'm sure you're about to tell us.
The uncle from TikTok.
He doesn't know.
Coffee
I have
on
no
the
idea.
side.
He doesn't know.
You don't know it?
Oh.
I'd really be on TikTok because of you all, thanks.
It's trending. It
It's
was
trending,
on news.
great. Good, okay.
To
Awesome.
keep up with the trends.
Right. How that
Pastor
affecting my...
J.
Yeah, okay.
How it affecting what?
Me.
Clearly you didn't know it.
I need to be on TikTok to be more readily available
No, you could also read the news.
Okay.
Okay?
Thanks, eh? Great intro here, boy. Wait.
It's Josh. Josh sets you up.
Why saying MP and she she come out from the last episode now. She ran
revenge.
She come out for revenge. Let's go.
Yes. Anyways, the topic today is identity, specifically image and insecurity.
And really how it affects us, right? Mental
Yeah.
health and so.
We will be sharing some of our insecurities. Well, our struggles, the things that we struggle with. We always like to keep it real here. We
Definitely.
say this is a safe space for you, but it's also a safe space for us as well to have open conversation and dialogue. But the MP across there seems to be quite busy prepping. I hope a not too hard icebreaker.
You had 2 weeks prepared. So
2
come
whole
on.
weeks.
2 whole weeks.
To
I am
learn your
just
words,
saying.
to, read your
According to the rules of
dictionary.
this podcast, I'm calling it Passages going first with whatever, okay?
Well, it doesn't matter who go first, but okay. So the name of this game, it's kind of similar to the game that you enjoyed so much.
Last
which
week.
was...
2 weeks.
No, the one you
The
enjoyed the
Parrots!
most. Right.
I love that
So you
game.
remember that game in which
Right.
it was a one word,
Yes.
and I think it was
Yeah.
story. So it's like very similar to that. The name of this one, though, is called Questions Only.
Okay.
Ah, boy.
So I had another part of the game I wanted to add in that would just make it.
So you making up your own games at this point. There we go.
It's like a lot of games put into one.
All right.
I do my research for
A
this.
lot
icebreaker.
of games put into one.
Well, that's how I was do my icebreakers. I just take a little bit from every little thing I see.
Or
and
you
kinda make it.
plagiarize and then add in your...
I don't know. That's big words.
Sprinkler.
Too much of big words for my
Okay, all right.
So what we're going to do as well is you have to basically have a conversation only with questions. So your response has to be a question to a question. And when
Are
you
you
can't,
playing?
no. And when you can't, when you can't find that question, then obviously the other person wins that round.
All right. Okay.
But the curveball is that you'll have to be asking these questions with certain accents.
No.
But I would allow you all to choose which accent.
No.
Hey, nah, boy. Nah.
I
This
don't like
is-
any... Listen, what I have here is accent, you know.
Excluding
realize?
Trini accent.
No.
You do a nice British accent.
I don't want to do an accent.
You're talking like you have an accent.
Okay.
You can do all this because you're not on camera.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll
So
try
accent,
British.
British?
Yeah, hopefully I don't butcher the people accent.
Do you want to go easy and just do American?
No, I
you have a little
I'll-
Jamaican inside you?
Hear what? You'll try and figure out what the accent is, right? Like put you on this one. I don't even know what I going to say or do right now. All right.
Oh my God.
So let me hear a British accent, Ron.
No, Joshua. Not now. That wasn't it. I said no.
That was it. No, Joshua.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Jay, well, yours is a surprise?
Yeah, mine is a surprise.
You sure you want to
I'm
do
not going to
that?
sound like...
Give us an idea, please.
And it's not going to sound like how your voice singing now, right?
No.
Okay, good.
And it's not gonna sound like how you're singing the other day either.
So, you see how you going there?
All right, so Jay starting.
Yes,
With
he
what
is.
after I ask her a
It's
question.
just a conversation. about
Any
the-
random question, and we can't
Yeah.
answer. So it's just a
But you
question.
just need
to
to answer
question.
with a question.
Okay.
Josh, we have to do accents.
Yeah, boy, the accent, I'm overthinking now, alright.
You don't study. Do what you want. We can do what we want. We don't need to follow rules.
If I
on
talk
this
like
podcast.
Batman, that's the accent.
Batman.
You know, you found that deeper. I watch too much short, stupid comedy things with that. All right.
Let me prepare myself for this.
I used to tell a story in an accent, you know. I had a goat called Billy.
What
Growing
accent is that?
You had to figure it out. You see what I mean?
It's like a fusion of something.
I had a goat called Billy when I was growing up in my country.
So this sounds Indian.
There you go.
That is not a question.
I know. I was just giving it. You know.
Oh.
You know how you was struggling last 2 weeks with catching on with the words.
Oh, yeah,
So
I
again,
catch it.
again, hello.
Okay.
All right, so you're
So-
going with that accent.
The accent, right?
So first question, there you go.
How are you today?
I am quite okay. How are you? Am I allowed to ask the same question?
You didn't tell me that.
So we could answer. And,
Oh, I didn't know you could answer. You can. All right. So
But
I am very uncomfortable right now, if I must say. But what are you up to later?
I don't know. Do you have plans? I feel like I'm going in some American.
Yeah, I grew struggle.
You have to mentally
So hey,
stay in this
what?
accent and also converse.
I have plans to pick up my children and hopefully feed them well when I get home. Are you enjoying yourself right now? You're such an idiot. MP is
No,
so
I am not. But what sort of accent is that?
Are you referring to yourself?
No, yours. I can't understand what accent it is.
Yeah, you go in between Trini and
Yes, I know. It's hard. I
And he
can't.
literally didn't even ask a question. I was just
I
thinking
know.
It's literally supposed to be
So
like.
I won.
you
Come on, come
What
on.
do you mean?
I was more consistent with my
yeah.
poor accent still, but I was still.
He was very consistent with his accent.
Boring.
If it's one thing, I'm competitive, so I had to win that. So,
So yeah, I
Okay.
think
That's it, right?
yeah, you all got next wrong?
no,
No, please.
sorry. please,
Joshua,
please.
you need to step up your game.
Who?
With beep. You need to step up. Do a little better, okay? I don't like these speaking thing.
Okay,
and
so
accent
you just
and
don't like icebreakers
challenged.
that you have to use your brain.
You know, I love that you pointed that out. I wouldn't even fight it.
Okay.
Possibly. Yeah.
Okay. Noted.
Yeah,
For the
but
next
try
round.
the next rounds that you would be involved in it.
Okay, no problem.
We could put you with a little paper bag on your head right here, right about here.
Okay.
What do you think? What do you think?
I'm not getting between both of you.
Why? You say things like that like it has something there. Anyways, guys, today...
You only even told them what the topic was about?
What?
You only
Yeah,
even told
yeah,
them?
yeah,
Yes, it did.
Okay.
Clearly, you wasn't
Keep
paying attention.
up. Keep up.
I'm just making sure you all remember you all told them.
Yeah, we're talking about identity and image and insecurity, a really big topic simply because I think most people, okay, let me be bold here. All people
Right.
would struggle or may have struggles in this area at some point.
In some
their life.
aspects.
In some aspects, yeah.
Right.
In some aspects. So yeah, I think it's quite relevant and it's a topic that most people can connect with.
I think just watching it from where, like especially watching like young people and stuff, I see it as something that's a big struggle.
Yeah.
I think it's a very relevant aspect of what we need to speak about
Yeah.
a bit. And obviously we can't cover everything, but
Yeah.
hopefully we bring some definition into this.
I mean, the insight that you would have, like you mentioned just now with like young persons and stuff like that, where do you see it the most? Like in what specific, is there like a specific area that it pops up the most, like in terms of insecurity or like
the
concerns
identity.
with, image, etc.
I think, yeah, you touch on that part, insecurity. I think I see, actually I can't even say just young people, you know. I see a lot of people, like, because of, like, church and I interact a lot with individuals. I see a lot of people that, because of some sort of insecurity, it drives some specific area of their life. So they might go all into a certain area. So with young people, it's easy to see in the sense of you would see them trying to fit in with crowds.
Okay.
So you might see them participating in things that they know wrong and you know they don't even enjoy or like, but because they feel, you know, excluded or they don't want to feel like they so different and sometimes you see it easy with the young people, but with the adults it just looks a little bit different.
Yeah, but it's still
Still
there.
present. Yeah.
You think like for younger persons it may be kind of like peer pressure being like one of the
Most definitely, I think even for us as well, we could identify with certain aspects of being insecure and yielding to some level of peer pressure to do things or say things or whatever.
So you don't think peer pressure? I mean, usually when we hear peer pressure, we
Right.
think about that like just young persons, teenagers and stuff like that. But it can be adults as well.
Of course,
Yeah,
I
like
mean
we have peers too, right?
we have peers and how they say it, we competing with the Joneses or we looking at
Yeah.
those are sometimes the signs of our insecurities.
Yeah.
So you know, like sometimes what we want to drive, the clothes we wear, you know, where we want to go eat or vacation.
Yeah.
Our reactions just look different to young people, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's driven by the same.
Same thing. It just looks different.
It just looks different. I think, but in terms of peer pressure with kids, I think they have a different level to deal with.
Okay.
We do as well now because we live in the same world, but because of like things like social media and so,
Right.
I think it's a whole different conversation now.
Yeah, which
around
kind of
that.
makes it different from like I guess when we were growing up because we didn't have social media the way that they
Yeah.
do now. I mean, when I was a teenager, I was on Facebook and stuff like that, but you be posting anything and everything. Like anything
Right.
pops into your head. Like I be watching some of my statuses from back then and
Yo.
yo, as you like, Renata, what were you thinking? Why did you post this? How were you even allowed to post this? Like
Yeah, relationship problems. Like you
no,
suppose
no,
on
I
that.
used to just post out of time and stuff like
Just random things.
yeah, random.
I used to see that like initially, especially when Twitter, well X or whatever, when it now came out, I used to see people doing random things. But I also see
Random.
Facebook more for reason I asked that too was I see a lot of people post like when they're venting,
Yeah.
when they don't want to say something to somebody directly,
Yeah,
They would
yeah.
post like the little
they would and make it
Like-
sound like a
yeah.
like you know
something
a lesson or something.
motivational.
Yes, they disguise it and we're like, okay, we all know who that's for.
Nah, I used to post all my heartbreak and stuff on
Yeah,
Facebook.
we know.
You joking or you serious?
No, he's dead
That's real
serious.
sad, yeah.
Like I can't believe why she did
yeah.
this. and-
I go in and look. I go and look back at his post. Serious?
yes, yes.
That was it.
Nah, don't even
It
watch
makes
me.
sense now. It makes sense
Don't
now.
even watch
No, like AI now. It makes sense.
Yeah,
now.
but no, like long ago, the culture of posting was very different.
Right, but
Just
now
the-
it's
Just like the platform itself was different, the way it was used, etc.
no. Of course. So I think like we had one aspect of it. We was probably sharing inappropriate things or things that the world didn't need to see, right?
But because there weren't much eyes on us, so it was a public platform. But it was more. There was a more. It was more. How do I explain this? Private in a sense that you
to your community.
to your community.
Somewhat,
Correct.
yeah.
Now online is
Because things
the globe.
trend, things go viral,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
sort of things.
and
But
there are eyes on you.
But I think like you said, the use of social media looks very different now. And so I think what we bombarded with is probably the highlights and the ideal or
Yeah.
the high 1% of people that we compare ourselves to.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So it's no longer just the community where you may be amongst your peers or people who similar or close by. Some might be ahead, some might be behind in certain things like career, education, whatever. Now what we get to see is like probably the top of the peak then. And I feel like
Or
that
at least what appears to be.
what appears great, yeah, I sound correct. Well, what appears to be like the end game or the goal or the highest achievement, and then we have to compare our reality to that.
To that.
And I think insecurity is something that is thriving right now because I think
That's one of the reasons why it kind of like
we have access to the
Yeah.
world in a different way now,
Yeah.
and you have people faking it on
oh yeah
on social
100%.
media, like.
Prime example. Do you know that there is this place? I'm not sure. It could be the States. Yeah, I believe it is. Sorry if I misquoted that, but there is this place that looks like an airplane. Like
Oh,
it's a
yeah.
studio though. It's a studio.
Serious?
And you cannot get through to book an appointment there. Because people booked it out.
Influencers
Why?
just booked it out to
Yeah.
just tape content to make
Correct.
it look like
So
They
they
fly
look
in.
like they're flying and they live in this big life. 'Cause
Because they sell products. They sell a course, they sell the...
they sell a look and image.
No, I know, but it's for that. It's money.
Yeah.
They will spend money to rent something. That's
Yeah.
so crazy, though.
Yeah. So that's the era we live in. And people looking on to persons online and stuff like that may look at, the plain pictures or whatever, right? Whatever it is you posting out.
But you know what I look at in that same context? So the people who not faking it, but when like their social medias be real quiet, and then when they fly somewhere, you might see plenty of that. Or if they go out like a fancy restaurant or something, it's because that's what we value. That's what we think winning looks like.
Yeah.
So it's not just the people faking it, but it's because that's the cultural accepted win then.
Yeah.
Like if you doing that,
You get through.
you get through.
Yeah.
Like there's no more just going to a restaurant and eating a meal. You have to take a picture of how the meal.
Look
Years
I mean,
ago,
they're
no one
the
even
memes, all
wanted. You want your food now to eat. Now it's like 5 minutes of just taking pictures.
Pictures and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's real different. So
Interesting, yeah. Just the influence of social media and how platforms like TikTok and it's so much more different now. There's so many different platforms. There's TikTok,
Right.
there's Instagram, there all the other ones that I probably don't even know about. Facebook as well. X, I think people use X. I don't, but
I think maybe not us so much
yeah.
locally, but
but in the
it
States and
still
stuff
is
like
it's
that,
very big. Yeah.
other countries, I should say, they use it a lot. But yeah, I think that can, just seeing those things. I mean, think about this, right? When we did not have those platforms, we battled with certain things like insecurities, peer
Right.
pressures, and stuff like that. How much more are our young people battling with these things when they're seeing these ideals? Like they kind of have it a little bit harder than we did, I would say.
I think 100%. I think what they getting exposed to is far. It's not just as dangerous. So we would be worried, or at least like my parents would be worried about the company you keep because what you get exposed to, right?
Yeah.
But to me, what these young people have is not just simply something that endangers them, but it entices them. It doesn't just endanger like maybe their choices, say like drugs, drinking, like whatever we were kind of trying to be protected from.
Yeah.
Now the things that to me is a more of a danger is putting in front of young people what defines them as the win then.
Yeah.
So it's not just the negative thing that could harm them, so it's not just that. Now they are being told stories of what it means to win, and it's sometimes be so far removed
Yeah.
and probably so unhealthy for them as well.
Yeah. Unrealistic.
Correct.
At times.
Yeah, because like how you said it, they have these people faking it.
So I mean, that's the lifestyle part of it.
Right.
But then there's like the image and beauty part of it as well. And let's be real, like we live for the past like 5 years, this has always been a thing, right? Like beauty standards and stuff like that.
Right.
Like Hollywood and
Okay.
what's trending and all of that good stuff. But like recently, like there is this big craze with K-culture, which is Korean culture. And they actually have kind of, how do you say it? They've been pushing this agenda in terms of like their culture and stuff like that, but a huge part of it, they've paid a lot of attention on like beauty standards and stuff like that.
Right.
So spaces like that and countries like that, they have very, very high beauty standards. So much so that things like plastic surgery and stuff like that is everybody gets it done. Literally, everybody gets
Right.
it done. And I mean, we see that here in the western parts of the world, like the States, even locally, like in the past couple of years, you see like there's this whole Botox craze, there's this
Right,
whole
yeah.
fillers and
Yeah.
all of these things, right? And our young people are looking on to,
This becoming normal for
this is normal, like
Yeah.
this is their norm. Like we may still be like, okay, all right, this is like a new trend. It's not something we were familiar with growing up and stuff like that, but they're growing up in an era where it's very accessible.
It's
and
accessible,
it's normal.
yeah.
It's literally normal.
It's not just normal, it's like you need this.
Yeah.
Like
You need it.
You need this. That's what I was talking about. That's the enticement. It's no longer. But like you said, that was probably unattainable for most of us. Like those sorts of things. Looking at, but I never thought about it that way. That K culture thing, but it is true. And
They call it. It's called cultural commodification. So they sell their culture, and a huge part of their culture is the high beauty standard. Now, obviously, there is a reason that
everything is commercialized. Come on, let's be straight.
But it is affecting the world. Like
no, I see that. I do see that. I mean,
but it's unrealistic because it's
from
not
the beauty standards.
Beauty standard, even like the lifestyle we were talking about, and even further to that by doing these things, it brings some sort of gratification or guaranteed happiness even.
Is it that like it gives people a feeling of like belonging to something?
Could be.
Because how is trends? Like I think that principle or that temptation in a way remains through the generations.
Yes.
Like whatever is trending. Now our young people have exposure to trends globally now that we didn't have.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, even in our spaces growing up, whether in our youth group, in school, your classmates or whatever was the trend that did hit at that point, you did want to be a part of it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But we were still so limited. Mm-hmm. So right now, you talking about that foreign culture being sold or being commercialized and being the trend for beauty, for food. Because I see it with the food, like especially locally here.
Yeah.
You see so many of these places opening up, but when you look at it, it wasn't driven by taste first. It was driven by the culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like what was shown or whatever. Because most people didn't go to South Korea or something to say they tasted or experienced it and decided to bring it. It was what was sent in front of us and so. So I think when it comes to the beauty standards, I think that's a worrying one because I think especially for women, I think that's, but let me not even say that. I think because of social media, beauty standards for men now have become a big thing. Mm-hmm. I used to think that it was mainly just for women, but I think men have actually been bombarded with these IG models or whatever. And it builds insecurity if you don't like a certain part of your body or something.
But
like
the thing about it is, like, I mean, there are people probably just really look perfect like that. But I'm just saying, like, the average person
doesn't.
Don't, like, let's normalize cellulites, guys. Everybody has it. No, but yeah, like, we look at pictures of women and stuff like that, or even men. I don't know, men is our cellulites. I don't know. Whatever, right? But I'm just saying, like, the ideal, like, Photoshop is a thing. Come on, filters is a thing.
Oh no, they exposing plenty of that. Like plenty of the models that post their pictures is edited stuff.
And listen, we're not
lighting,
talking
different.
we're not talking subtle like modification.
But it's actually
talking
to
about
show,
like complete you. If I see you in person, you looking like somebody completely different.
Catfish.
Exactly. Exactly. That ever happened to you?
What is that? Like a
like you know somebody from online or whatever, and like you see them in person, and then you're like,
listen. Let me say it this way, right? Let me just say it this way. Some of your display pics need to come off.
Yeah.
Like
did you know like a few weeks ago there was somebody went missing and they could not find them because the picture that was posted or whatever, like they said that no, it's serious. Thank God they found the person. Thank God, but there was this thing going around and people were like, the person doesn't look like what they look like in their picture, and that was the picture that was posted saying that
this person missing.
So they couldn't. I wouldn't know if I see you down the road, like, guys, there's a danger in doing that.
That's the whole point of that story. But that's a serious thing. But because life is online, and that's the thing, that's what's relevant to this topic. Like, we create an identity based on our best version or the probably the least amount of where we look near to perfect or something. Yeah. And we create it because we think that's what the world will accept or what people will desire.
Our ideal.
Yeah. Yeah.
About the best version of us.
Correct. I mean, instead of the most consistent version
Yes.
of us. Like, that's what people should know and that's what people should see.
I mean, that's what people who in front of your face see, like, you know?
That I just laughing because I literally thinking about people that I have to interact with. And when I see the, like, you know, you see the preview in our WhatsApp message.
Yeah.
The name and the picture not
So
matching.
much. Wow. Nah, there was this time a couple of years ago, I knew this person from online and they looked like they walked up to me to talk to me.
Right.
And I'm like, they're like, Harinata, like, I know them. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, who?
And,
they were
you were
this-
talking to them online. Wow.
Well, not talking like that, but we had little interactions. And
You were supposed to know them if they look
yeah,
like you.
I'm like, I don't know you. They're like, yeah, you do. I'm like, no, I don't. And then when they said the name, I was like, oh. And I made a mistake of saying, oh, you look so different.
Ouch.
I didn't mean it like that in like at the moment. I wasn't throwing shade, but
No, it was
like,
just the truth.
I was kind of
that's
thrown.
that's why you didn't
I
recognize
was kind of
them.
thrown like,
Yeah.
huh? But I mean, just kind of thinking about just that space and, you know, I mean, I could understand the temptation, if you want to say that word, to compare to these to other people and stuff like that.
So my thing with that is, if you have to do it so drastically and you have enough sense, you know, and people would tell you as well, or maybe they may not, but if it is that you have to look so drastically different on an online image as opposed to who you really are, and whether you're editing, whether you're trying to make it look some way that you're not, that to me already says that you have insecurity.
yeah.
That you're not, I'm not saying that we will always be 100% happy with how we look or who we are in every season of our lives. But we should be comfortable enough to just be normal.
To be ourselves, to be
Yeah, correct.
who we are.
Yeah. Not what we think the world wants us to be.
Yeah. Yeah,
So that tells me a lot already.
But I mean, and it's getting worse and worse. Like a couple of years ago, it was just the filters. Now it's AI. Have you all seen any of these AI photos?
Yeah,
out there?
Yeah, it's crazy.
And not even photos.
Videos.
Like, videos like
That
they have
look
like
No.
Like they have these famous people talking with their
Yeah.
voices and everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, some of them you could tell, but then some of them like
yeah.
It
And
could
then
pass.
It has
No,
like
but then
the
there
ones.
are people that use like
AI to
to
yeah. You
make
upload a
themselves,
picture.
yeah. And I'm like, why would you post that? Why would you post that? But you said something there just now, like if somebody, like people will tell you, like persons that are close to you.
Right.
What do you
Let's
think?
see where
Like,
we're going with this.
what you all think? Like, should we, like, if there are people around us, or even if we do it, like, do you think that that's something should be part of our discussion with like our peers or like persons that we may be close to? Will you feel comfortable saying, "Hey, bro, sis, like, you don't look like that. Stop your nonsense."
You'll never feel comfortable saying something that potentially will hurt somebody you care about.
Okay.
So let's just be straight. Number one, to me, you jump far ahead because I don't even think we have authentic communities like that, willing to confront stuff that we see like that.
Okay.
I think it's few and far in between.
Okay.
So we have much more connections on social networks, hundreds or thousands of friends, connections. You might have people, hundreds or thousands of people liking or just interacting with your stuff,
We're not actually connected. to
but
those
not
persons.
actually connected. So
Yeah.
for me, if you're asking the question, yeah, I would hope I am surrounded by people who would call out some things, would see something, or at least ask a question.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you have to go out there and just sing, just tell people this or that, because we could be wrong about some of the things we see into.
Yeah.
But for me, I think we should normalize more having difficult conversations.
That's what a very uncomfortable one. MP, what you doing? You telling them or you leaving them?
It's much. Not that I do that, but I think in this culture, it's much easier to talk about someone behind their back than to talk to them to their face. So it's much
Okay.
easier if you're seeing someone doing that, and you can talk to the person. Hey, you see how she looking in that picture? Da, 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 da. But yeah, no, it is something. I think it really comes down to the level of relationship that you have with that person.
Yeah,
It isn't going to
absolutely.
be something that you could just randomly go to someone.
Not
else.
everybody you could go and say that to.
Yeah.
I don't even. Yeah, y'all are saying that having that connection. I don't think that even makes it easier.
Who was that?
Like having that conversation, even like with somebody, if I'm
You have a
close to them.
relationship?
Or,
Oh no, it makes it
Yeah.
harder.
Yeah, because then this person gonna be like, "But you're supposed to know me." Yeah, I don't think it is gonna be an easy conversation. Period.
It's not going to be easier. I think it's hard in the sense that because it's a heavier weight. Because
Yeah.
especially if you have a close relationship with someone, you're basically going to say something to them that would hurt them. And we live in a culture where how people feel is prioritized
Yeah,
rather than just even right or wrong. So
and then
It-
to kind of understanding to that persons that may be struggling with insecurities and stuff like that.
imagine you
Keep
go and tell.
approaching, correct.
Imagine you telling someone, yeah. And,
Yeah.
and you're their friend who knows that they,
About the struggle, correct.
But then, so that's the thing is like it's not just that what you say to them about, you know, hey you're doing that image and that kind of stuff. You're putting it out there, but is what the conversation goes after. To me, that's what's important. If you have a relationship, hopefully you'll sacrifice the time and effort to actually walk them through. Just kind of maybe trying to correct some of it.
Yeah, but I mean, we're talking a lot about what people may be struggling with, right?
Right.
But I feel like we should share.
We're going here one time.
Yeah, we go in here. We go in here. We go in here.
I thought we
We're
had
should
already
share.
30 minutes in, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, we should share like some of the areas that we may have been insecure and ways that we may have overcome, and if it's not something that we overcame, like if we're still struggling with it.
Right. So
like,
you'll go
what are
first.
some
I
of the
call
ways
it.
that we deal with it? Wow.
Sorry, I didn't mean to. You know. Yeah,
You did mean.
No, I meant to. Yeah,
You
take
meant
second
to-
position. I'm apologizing for that. Sorry, I interrupted you that way. But the way the rules work on this podcast, not so MP.
Yep.
Yeah, it's who
You all
calls
need
first.
to be careful about the rules I'm making here. I will one of these days come
Wait,
very prepared
is
to be
that-
both of
That's a
y'all.
threat, boy.
Yes, take it as a threat. Insecurity. I think one of the insecurities that I have is just like being sometimes overly worried or concerned about what other people think about me. So like if I say something like what would they think about what I said, or how would they view me
Right.
based on like what I said, and
Is it that you're worried about being misunderstood?
misunderstood.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that comes from a place of being misunderstood
Okay.
for majority of my life. So
Right.
so yeah, it has I do struggle with that. Like even just like even sitting here sometimes I'm like, should I say that? How does that come across? You
Right.
know, so it's something that I do have to battle with, and I'd say that way because a lot of what I do is very vocal and
Right.
you
Yeah,
know
you have to
yeah.
share your opinion
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah. So that's one of my my
Ongoing.
insecurities. Yeah, I do try to kind of the way I deal with it is like specifically for like just understanding like where I'm at and that I'm supposed to be here. I kind of anchor myself on that. So when those questions come up,
Right?
I always find myself back to why are you doing this? Understanding and remembering the reasons why as opposed to
So let me ask a question. Does that always work? So I guess what I trying to figure out is, do you think that it's possible that in every instant you could overcome your insecurity by yourself?
in that with that specific
Yeah.
one, I think I
You do a pretty good job.
No, that don't happen like in a like it like I have those thoughts now and like I figured like work my way back immediately. Yeah? Sometimes that may take
You had
a
a process. Right.
Yes,
Okay,
I process.
okay.
So I will go through sometimes whatever emotions I have to go through, but always get
Trying
back.
to go back to that space.
Try to
Why?
yeah the why
The why
like
behind
my
what you're doing.
foundation
Yeah.
and that's a struggle. Like there are times like I get incredibly discouraged or depressed even sometimes in those processing times. But yeah.
Okay. Great. We out of time there?
Great,
Yeah,
we
we
out
wrap it
of
up.
time.
Yeah.
It's how you try to prolong this by asking me
Yeah,
questions.
no. I was really asking. You see what I mean?
Wait.
You see, now I being misunderstood. Why are you doing with that?
Wow.
MP, you sharing one? No.
Do you not
Yeah,
remember?
I remember now. I now catch yourself. Don't think too hard. If you don't want to
No,
share,
it's-
brother.
He doesn't like ask his friend.
Can I ask a friend?
Yeah.
When we were planning this episode, honestly, like
When you were what?
when we were planning the episode,
Right.
I was we were talking about this exact same thing. So, and I told you you'll come back to me on that one. about
Right.
It.
That's not what you said, but we'll go with that.
It's something I'm still not 100% sure about. As it pertains to like my insecurities, I feel like one aspect of it is speaking with people. So like being around.
That's just funny because the conversation we've had
Yeah.
before.
So just for context, yeah.
Yeah, before people say I'm evil. I laugh, I don't even know. It's not that.
Yeah, like I think that's one of my main things. Because growing up, I didn't know how to really speak and interact with persons. Don't know why. Maybe just because I don't know, just sheltered or what was your
You're
reason?
the star child. Come on, stop.
No, but
Yes. Not no. Yes.
no, but even if you look at it like okay, if you want to say it like that, normally like those quote unquote star children are
Easy
out
to say.
there.
Oh, yeah.
Or,
Because they
like,
have the confidence. Yeah,
popular
nah.
and you know that
Yeah.
kind of yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I don't think it was even that. It's I don't know. Like my dad, he's very quiet as well too. So
Right.
it could just be. But yeah, that was one of my things when it comes to like being able to hold a conversation.
So is
with
it that
someone.
you are like scared or like not confident? Like
I
don't feel
won't say it's not
confident,
confidence because there's other aspects of my life where I am confident, where it won't
Okay,
bother
but
me to.
in that specific regard,
In
like,
that specific, if I'm
are
like
you not?
one-on-one with a person, yeah,
It hard. Yeah.
it's harder. I've been on television. I could do a television show and not worry about how much people watching me. But put me in a room with one person to actually have a
Right.
meaningful
One-on-one, yeah.
conversation. It's hard.
Feel a little more pressure.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
how do you deal with that? Is it something you overcame?
No, definitely
Okay.
not. It's
How are you dealing? How do you deal with it?
I try to put myself in those positions more.
Okay.
To
That's
actually-
awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Actually.
You know, it's your turn now, right?
Yeah, we know.
Like there's no more running, right?
Like,
Like we don't have another person here.
you see me running? I don't run, Gail. What's wrong with you?
Okay, all right. But you avoid.
Not even.
Okay.
No, the only struggle was since before you reminded us about the this segment. I really thought was coming to the end, like to the end. But I'll say my insecurity. I was struggling between do I share one from the past or do I really be vulnerable and share present? But you all did, so
You don't have to feel pressured by us, you know.
I don't know. It's not
We're not
pressure. It's
pressuring
just
you.
I just want to honor the space. I guess one of my current insecurities is how people look at me as a pastor. I think when I hear the question, "What do you do?" I feel very insecure because pastoring, let's say 10, 15 years ago, people actually looked up to that role.
Okay.
But I think it's been tarnished so much by failures, different things. But also, and I don't want to make it so clean. There's a part of me that, because the standard of the world is like where you work or your title or your position, people do look at you differently.
Yeah.
If they know you are a manager or own a business or something like that. Like that goes with it, right? I do feel that pressure sometimes because I know I could be doing other things.
Yeah.
And then when I'm in spaces of, let me be fully transparent. When I'm in spaces where there are lots of professionals, I do shrink back
Okay. Yeah.
because I know that the world doesn't respect
Look
that
at,
much.
Yeah.
And for the even to the point where they probably look at it negatively, like, oh God, like if this is the only thing this man could do,
Yeah.
he could ask where his father is. Nothing like that. Like, I know to myself, so I would struggle processing that. Okay, no, I know I was doing things before. I know my ability, how I've led in the secular world, building teams, leading different aspects of organizations, and then so I kind of go back to that, and then what it really comes down to for me is my identity has to be in my walk with Christ, and that's where I wrestle with it. I don't always get right, to be honest. There's sometimes I leave feeling still, like how you said, you go through the emotions.
Yes.
So it's good. I was grateful that you shared that. So it's not like it's just happening in an instant. So yeah, I feel the pressure, the same things like everybody else, like where you're driving, clothes you're wearing, like how you look.
And that pressure, like you said, sometimes it multiplies depending on the environment that you are in.
Yeah. So like, once I'm around professionals, like, going and meeting new people and they're asking that. I mean, I make joke about it from the pulpit, like, I was want to tell them I'm in sales.
No,
right?
That's real, like.
It's just, So I do struggle with that. I do struggle with this role. Just being from a very fleshly and very worldly standard.
I think our insecurities are it's all flesh, like,
because it's based on the culture that we live in. Yeah, for sure.
Wow. Okay.
All right, Ollie just made this whole thing. Go ahead.
No!
There you go. Transition.
Oh my god.
So you 2 weeks ago you insecure about your nails.
No, 2 weeks ago I actually was feeling really insecure.
But look at it, still looking
I had
so
like
good.
a whole
Look at that.
I had like a whole meltdown.
With it.
For your nails?
Yeah, not my nails. Oh gosh, not my nails.
That's what
You need to be clear. I
Jesus.
talk about your nails. I'll talk to your nail tech.
No, it's not that serious. Relax.
Yeah.
But it's something that
Like I
comes
said,
and goes. Yeah.
But from Reflesh, you say it's something that we interact with, I guess, in the world, and the standards are set upon us.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But I think I really, I'm glad that you said that, just anchoring yourself in your faith and who Christ has called you to be. Yeah, that's 100% the recommendation.
That's the daily struggle.
Yeah. But I mean, external validation, why we may be seeking approval from others, because I mean, that is kind of a part of, definitely
external.
what I said.
Yeah.
To some degree, worrying about what people think or what they would say, etc. Kind of feeds into that whole, why do we seek approval from others? Why do we do it?
Hear that question. So I would say there are probably different reasons. I think you highlighted something in your sharing. You said because you've been misunderstood for so many years, that you have that kind of fear or anxiety, probably is a better word, for how you speak or when you're speaking in front of people or whatever, not to be misunderstood. So I think one of the things that we could probably safely say is that sometimes our insecurities are rooted and grounded in our experiences.
Yeah.
And for some who have more serious, like trauma, and so, one of the things that I see probably more important as I grow older is the insecurities that are left to probably grow or even be birthed in lives of children when there is no father around.
Yeah.
So I think so there's a wide spectrum of why people have insecurities.
Yeah.
I think it could be situational, I think it could be through their experiences, but I also think because of the relationships we have around us or the lack thereof.
Okay.
Because I mean, if you have a young person growing up in a place where they may not have everything, but they have a lot of love.
Yeah.
They have a lot of affirmation from their parents or their guardians or so. You see them grow up in a lot healthier way than opposed to what we try to do, which is provide the best for our kids, but sometimes miss the core components of what they need.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, why are we looking for the external value? I think because maybe it's something we didn't have, maybe it's something we lost, whether it's trust or understanding. Like
Yeah.
just in your example, how you spoke about it from that experience. For mine is just different because it's more recent in my life. But I would say that whatever the reasons are, I think we're trying to fix something by that I think only God can. But we're trying to fix it in the things that the culture providing or recognizing at least.
Yeah. I can see too how just like that even in my own life, the overcompensating for what you think is a lack or an area that you're not very good at or confident in.
Right.
The overcompensation. So that looks like, again, filters. You know,
Right.
you're probably not like confident in the way that you look or so. So you overcompensate in certain
You edit the
certain
photo,
area.
you try.
Yeah.
Not,
Or even like for me, like being misunderstood. Sometimes the want or need to like over explain or like really overly try to get people to understand you.
right.
Yeah.
So that's real important because, you know, you're asking about how we seek approval. But the thing that I feel like this is more, when it comes to identity, I think it's not just simply approval. I think it's validation.
Yeah.
And I think we have to come to a place where we understand that sometimes even the people who should have validated us, they can't and they won't. And that is where, like, you know, when you talk about like, okay, so you kind of overcompensate by trying to over-explain yourself, whatever. But the truth is, you could probably communicate perfectly a thought or idea or maybe a suggestion or something, but that person is broken in their own self. They will still misunderstand it.
So true.
So we have to actually come to a place where our identity is not based. So the way I heard it
On
explained,
people's response.
Correct.
Or lack.
or lack of. So where I heard it is that I think right now in our culture, even in the church, sadly, the way we form identity is this: we look inward, then we look around, and then we look up. Because our culture tells us, look inside to see your authentic self. Like, define yourself by what you feel, what
Yeah.
you want, or what you desire. When, as true followers of Christ, well, for me now, I have learned now, I have to look up first, then look around, then look inside.
Yeah.
Because some people, I mean, one of the things that we had on the notes was when we look to constantly seek that approval or that validation, we could end up becoming fake.
Yeah.
We could become someone that we think people around us want,
Yeah.
but it's not who we really should be or
Yeah.
who we want to be and stuff like that.
And I mean, I can see that. I can see that, like, just when you're in different settings and stuff like that. First to begin with, anywhere you go, like, publicly or whatever, outside your house, you ain't trying to show
Right.
the worst parts of yourself, you know? you're
So adjusting to different
settings.
environments,
It's kind of a normal thing,
it's a
right?
natural,
It's natural.
It does mean you're a hypocrite automatically.
But then there's the extreme side of it where you're not even anywhere near who you are. It's not just
yeah.
you just trying to show the good. You're trying to show what maybe the expectation of,
Well, but you said it when we started, the peer pressure.
yeah.
It may not be people trying to pressure you, but maybe the pressure we put on ourselves to try to fit in, or again, if we're not confident in who we are,
Yeah.
we're going to think we have to keep changing to suit the environments we are. And then, honestly, that's exhausting.
It's exhausting. It's
Probably.
depressing. Oh my gosh. That takes a lot of energy just to keep up.
Of course.
Just to keep up the appearance of whatever it is.
And that's just one environment.
That's just one.
So when you go to different spaces, yeah.
Exactly. So how could we find that confidence without relying on approval from others? I think you kind of said it perfectly in terms of looking up first.
I think the way I looked at it was, at least from our beliefs, we believe that God created us. And if He's the one who created us, then He has the best plan for us, the best way of how we should live, how we should be directed. And I think that's where our identity comes from. So simple things, I go to the Word first. because I've learned just walking through this life that we all want that validation, and don't get me wrong. Like, I think we built with
It's
that.
not something alien.
Correct.
We talk about it like, why you would want, like it's something like
No, but
weird or bad.
it's
like-
healthy. I think the reason why it's broken is because we either been abused by maybe the people who should have, or maybe the lack of.
yeah.
That there's a need, there's something in us that we're still searching for. And I think, well, the first place we need to go is to be defined by God, because we talking here, and for the number of people that are listening or tuning in, everybody have their own story,
Yes.
their own variables. So we don't have a fixed solution for every single person outside of God.
Yeah.
He's the one that created us. So I love like scriptures that talk about we were made in his image and his likeness. Just things that really speak to how God has really just called us how to be, and like even beyond just creation. But you know, he talks about we being a chosen people, a royal priesthood. Like there's things that he defines us as when we return to him. And I think that those things are really crucial. That's where we should be building first, and then we address the circumstances,
Yeah.
the environment, the community around us. And that's why we say you get around people who go in the same direction as you, and then you look at yourself. And the reason I think we have to look at ourselves last is because our hearts could take us down real different roads that we're not meant to go.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where
Definitely a very big point. Very key. But how does insecurity affect our relationships? It can affect different types of relationships, really. So, like friendships, romantic relationships, etc. That looks very different.
I don't know why I feel like I get interviewed on this one.
Interviewed. Okay.
No.
Pastor Jay,
Check this. I was gonna say. So MP, how does it affect, like when you, like how you say, like how like with relationships? So it don't have to be romantic. So it's just relationships, and you're not comfortable speaking and stuff. Like what have you seen has been the results of like that insecurity? Like somebody thinks that maybe, you know.
Yeah. I guess just lack of building a relationship with people.
Right.
Not being able to actually have those conversations where you build friendship, you get to know that person, I'm able to help that person. Because of that lack of, going out there, you miss that opportunity to just build.
You can't be there for them in that regard. But
Yeah.
so I'll ask a question. Do you all think that, so we talk about insecurity and stuff, but do you think that we want those types of relationships? Because I question in that right now. Like society, I look at culture.
Do we want
Do we
to
want
know people on that level?
on that level?
I think it goes way beyond just that question. I think it's, yes, there is that. Like, do we want to get there? And also, that relationships go both ways, right? So it's the want, yes, they want to be there for persons, get to know them on that level. But are we to that point where we can say we want to open up in that way?
Right.
Because the want might be there, but it, like,
But
people,
then, but then you're going right back to the insecurities.
yeah.
Because people don't want to open up because of
Yeah.
whatever might be on the inside. Like you talk about your experiences as one reason, but then
I feel like we live in an era where casual is just it.
right,
Like casual everything.
right,
Like we casually do everything. Relationships, you see it all the time. So you don't go deep with people.
right.
Very few and probably far in between. But
That is actually a really good point, you know.
there is just this, we're great, we
changed.
lie,
It
we
has
hang
changed.
out with, we may spend time with, but actually really connecting with people on that level where it comes to that place like, no, I don't think, culturally, I don't think we,
When I think about like long-term relationships and stuff that you would have, like this outside romance, just like strong friendships and stuff, they are really few and far in between now.
Yeah.
I think because you're right. I think you hit on something that we probably need to look at in our own lives and really decide if it's something. But like you said, could we even open up with it? with it. Because I mean, you talk about how does it look, insecurity and stuff in relationships, but one thing is that I see it in, like, if I'm talking to couples or so, when there's lots of insecurity, I see them, I might see one of them trying to control.
Yeah.
So it's not just simply, well, I'm afraid of losing this person or something like that. So they're trying to build long-term and deep or whatever, but the insecurities get in the way that it comes out in a very unhealthy way.
So the insecurity is, I don't want to lose this person.
Right.
But it's communicated and lived out by, I want to control you.
Because
I holding you here.
so the control, and I
Yes.
see a lot of the sorry, but this is just my experience with it. But I've seen a lot of the guys have access to their spouse or their girlfriend or whatever, like all their access to their phone, their social media, whatever, and it's not the next way around.
Right.
Wow.
Like I see that transpire several times, and it's not because they don't like, it's from a place of fear of losing this relationship, because for a lot of them, sometimes when I look at the romantic relationships.
But for reasons, are there reasons that it's like that? So like,
what do you mean?
Legitimate reasons why that sort of access is needed.
Yeah, because the insecurity that.
So it's the insecurity. It's not
that
necessarily
drive
that something happened.
Not
that
all the time.
caused-
No.
Okay.
So because like some of them would talk about like maybe the past or whatever, but years have gone by
Yeah.
and it hasn't gone better. So that's why I see, like, if you're not careful, your insecurities, they
Will
won't.
get in the way of
They stop you.
relationships.
They stop
and
you
probably
from.
even cause you to live or be with people that you probably are meant to be with, but
Right.
because you've not healed, I mean, then at that point,
I mean, when it comes to this relationship side of it, I could talk too much on this because I guess for me, I'm looking at it from like a church standpoint, and I see a lot more people struggle with just relationships, not just the romantic one. That's at the forefront.
yeah, but it's just a general
So
thing.
let me explain how I shared this yesterday with some folks. I see the insecurity of people not having their identity in Christ or being comfortable with who they are.
Yeah.
So what do they pursue? They pursue a career. They dedicate years of
So the
career building.
overcompensation.
Right? And here's what happens. When they reach older now, they want to go to something that's more fulfilling, like finding a spouse, family, etc. And at that point, it becomes pressured and difficult.
Yeah.
And it's harder. It's harder because the years they should have been growing, meeting folks, and I'm not talking about just dating all over, but just meeting people, being in good communities.
Yeah.
They spend pursuing different things. So the overcompensation, you see it in so many different ways, but we have to ask is, okay, what is driving it? What is the fear? What is the insecurity?
And that, I guess that's what we need to fix, because if we don't look in our own lives, like, it will affect the people around us and the people we love and genuinely care for.
The thing I'll tell our viewers, if this conversation are you uncomfortable, ask probably the 3 closest people around you. Like, go and ask them. So they may not be the ones wanting to come and talk, but go ask very specific questions. Because you said, all right, you got to look at yourself. Most of us can't do that. Most of us cannot have a unbiased opinion of ourselves when it comes to the place of our weakness.
Yeah.
When it comes to the place of our insecurity, it's going to be difficult. So I'd say, yeah,
Ouch. I would say ouch for that one. Ouch. Got my hand. Wow. Okay. I think this is one of the questions that I had, and we will kind of wind things down here. Do you think that it's possible to, at any point, stop being insecure?
Short answer, no, I don't think so.
Okay.
But I do think that there's probably a healthy way.
Yes.
There's a difference between your insecurity driving your life as opposed to maybe seasons that you're going through. That's your thing. Or did I see MP telling me time I'm talking too much? You see? I don't think that was one of his planned sound effects.
You never know.
But I would say no. for healthy I think going through life, different seasons, there'll be always be something that would probably test you.
Yeah.
Probably, and I wouldn't say just test, but expose maybe some things in our own selves. But when we're in a healthy place, I think the way we deal with it looks very different. But I think it's an ongoing process. I think it's an ongoing journey.
Yeah. I mean, you said expose, like there's certain things, but we need to be okay with accepting. First to begin with, we have to be okay with like coming to terms with what those insecurities are. Like we have to look ourselves in the mirror and be like, okay, admit, I do struggle in this area.
Easier said than done.
It is. Yeah. But I mean, it is so necessary.
Right.
Because then we'll go through life living unhealthily. And I'm not saying that like there's ever good, like you will ever get to this ideal point of just being healthy 100%.
It's not going to be perfection.
We should be pursuing healing in that way. It's not comfortable. It's never going to feel good.
So the way I would cap that is just by saying the job you're chasing after, the advancement in the career, that relationship you think you're putting all your hope in, that not going to fulfill you. That not going to fix you.
Yeah.
Like, we need to get people healed before they take those steps forward. And not enough conversations happening where we're talking about our insecurities.
Yeah. Ouch. This feels like a real hard place to end. But we gotta leave you all.
So hey, we let them connect with Ren if they want to further the conversation. Remember we talk about that?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so we'll put up something. On a serious note, if you want to have a conversation about these things, we definitely, not just through the podcast, but I mean, message the socials.
Is at
Stop it.
But also, within the next couple of, very soon we should have our own Hope Unfiltered number, so that
you could send in messages and we could reach out and see how we can help.
Yeah, so you can connect with Pastor J on Instagram, and he also on TikTok, right? He's looking forward to your messages, but
I rarely be on TikTok, so.
But he'll eventually get it. What he means, it'll take a little while. Okay? So you can send the messages there too.
MP, you better do something about that part. Edit out.
Anyways, guys, we got to leave you all. Don't forget, you can stay connected with us on our social platforms. That is at Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Spotify. Oh, also YouTube. Yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
Take care, guys.